Welcome back to the Maven Show. This is your host Rohit. Today we have Leslie, the educator, keynote speaker, and the best-selling author. Thank you, Leslie, for getting into the show.
Thanks for having me, Rohit.
Now we will be talking about a bunch of things: how to build a successful personal brand the right way possible. And would you like to tell us something about yourself first? How you got started in your entrepreneurship, keynote speaking, and in this business order? That's all.
So I got started in 2008 when everybody was getting laid off
Mhm.
in America. And it was a crisis because people were losing their homes. I have a home in South Florida, and in that neighborhood, 1 in 4 families lost their home to foreclosure, meaning that 1 in 4 families, at least in Florida, was experiencing serious, underemployment or underfinancing and financial crisis. So I studied international affairs, comparative politics, sociology. I had an intention to go to law school. But at that time, I just didn't think getting a $160,000 loan to go to law school was a smart idea. So I decided against that and waiting. And what happened is that my husband said, there are these people who do what you do professionally at my work. He worked in corporate, and they're called coaches. Have you ever thought about executive coaching? So I read a book by Marshall Goldsmith, and it was called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And it was basically everything that I did for free, naturally and intuitively, this guy was getting paid hundreds and thousands of dollars to do. So I thought, well, maybe I'll start coaching people. So I did. I started coaching people. My first client was a mayor in South Florida. He was recognized by Barack Obama, and he was a busy lawyer, busy mayor, and he said that I helped him slow down time. And my first resume client was a young Saudi Arabian man. He was an immigrant trying to get his MBA. I think it was like a master's degree. And now he's the chairman of a board in Saudi Arabia. So I just got my start in an economically opportune time. It was when people really needed help in their careers. And I started working with people, $100 to help them do their resume. I obviously don't charge that now, but that's what people could afford. So that's what I charged. And I got experience from that. And I built my brand by helping people change their life, improve their finances, and to feel confident. Because when you are not making a lot of money, you tend to feel very little about yourself, have low self-worth. Yeah. So it's not just about helping people get a better job and make more money. My job is to help people increase their self-esteem and their self-worth, because both of these go hand in hand. So that happened over the years. And, I taught in a business school in France, coached people all over the world in action sports, and moved back to California, professional athletes, Hollywood stars, reality TV people. And then it just kind of went from that way. I don't advertise. I just have word of mouth, and I've built a personal brand for myself. And my brand is helping people succeed, helping people fulfill their dreams. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I just am that person that will support you vigorously in failure, as well as when you are in a success. And sometimes in our careers, we feel we're absolutely all alone. And my job is to be that companion for someone as they go through the valley of the shadow of death. And remember, they're only shadows, they're not real, but our fears feel so real to us. So my goal is to help people build emotional intelligence, their self-worth, and as a result, their net worth. So that's how I got my start, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
And even though I have learned a lot about emotional intelligence from you, what would you like to speak about that?
It goes back down to that concept about you can change how you think, you can change how you feel. And a lot of people are frightened by the images that they see in their mental screen of space. And they're frightened by the intensity of the emotions that they're experiencing. Sometimes we feel sick or we feel tired, or we feel pressure. Those are emotional experiences. They're not just physical experiences. Physical emanations are the mirror or the expression of the emotional and spiritual feelings that we're having. And a lot of times we medicate and try to subdue the physical symptoms of the emotional and spiritual conflict that we have inside of ourselves. So the approach about building your emotional intelligence is about learning to understand the language of your soul. And that is through understanding and working with your emotions. So once you learn how to recognize that, oh, my soul is trying to speak to me and is trying to tell me something that is not obvious, and turn into yourself and listen to your emotions and learn how to decode your emotions, you'll find that your spirit, your God nature, whatever you want to call it, is trying to guide you, protect you, heal you, give to you, direct you, talk to you, that you are not alone in this human experience, that you have a greater force and a power that goes along with you and that loves you and thinks highly of you. And that then you no longer feel so abandoned by life. And so that's my goal of helping people increase their connection to their own spirit by improving their understanding of their own emotions and thereby create health, wealth, and happiness.
And what guidance would you like to give about, would you like to give to someone about the career and anything in career development?
I wrote a book called It Pays to Be You, Creating an Authentic Career with Emotional Intelligence. And this is a book for anybody. It tells my stories of coaching and action sports, and it tells a lot of stories of real issues at work, whether it's time management or conflict management. And I also built a companion workbook to that, which is a step-by-step guide for improving your career, but doing so in a way that's authentic to you and listening to your own emotions and listening to your souls and listening to your values. So my goal of helping people is to build the 4 C's: consciousness, learn to build awareness of what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you're experiencing. Creativity, learn how to face your feelings, deal with your imagination and solve problems creatively and imaginatively. And then the next one is building your confidence, improving your self-worth, your self-esteem, how you see yourself and how you think the world sees you and your value. And finally, connectivity, sharing your story, connecting with other people, telling them who you are and what you stand for and what you want to create. And as a result, you'll connect with other people who want to do similar things and start to build a community around those authentic values and your authentic self. So that would be my tip, is to get those books and start building what I call your 4 C's.
And since you got started, you built your own successful personal brand right at this time. So what kind of best tips would you like to give to someone how to build a successful personal brand the right way possible?
Let's just go freewheeling. I won't give you a canned response. How about that? Your personal brand is about honesty and knowing that not everybody is ready for honesty and not everybody wants to hear the truth or their truth. And I think that it takes a great amount of courage to really be yourself, whether if you're gay or you're straight or you're Black or you're Asian, or whether you grew up poor or you grew up rich. Tell your story, narrate your experiences, and communicate, and talk about what's important to you. Not everybody's gonna like it, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay. That doesn't mean that you should be nasty or attack other people or belittle other people. It just means come from a place of authenticity. Tell your story, write a blog, make your art, make your things, meet people and be the most authentic version of yourself. And I think that the most important piece of advice is, we think that in order to be wealthy or to get money or to be rich or get a good job is that we have to be someone that we're not. And the moment you start acting like someone that you're not, you have hung your soul at the door at the start of every workday, and you are selling your soul to the devil. Don't do it. You got to go into your work the most authentic version of yourself. If you don't feel great, say you don't feel great. If you feel emotional, be emotional. You want to cry, cry. If you are scared, admit it.
Yeah.
Be real. Don't try to be hard, and I'm not saying fake it till you make it. That's a different thing. I mean, really just be the most authentic and honest version of yourself. When I say fake it till you make it, I mean, assume who you want to be, but it won't start being effective until you start to accept yourself for who you are. If you loathe yourself, if you hate yourself, if you reject yourself, and you don't love who you are and what you look like and what you do and what your capacities are, you're never going to be successful. You have to start to learn to love yourself. And as you more and more accept yourself and love yourself, other people will too.
And you said that you started your career at the time of crisis. And I think at this point of time, recession is still coming in the US market probably.
Yeah, we
Somehow.
have a really high inflation rate, but I think that we're not really so much in a recession as we're in a kind of a great rearrangement.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just kind of like a little glimpse of it, as I have seen that it can be possible. So, according to you, what advice would you like to give to anyone who is getting started with the career? Getting into it, either it can be the corporate field, or either it can be the entrepreneurship, either it can be being a speaker, getting into this, or just about have a passion in anything.
So it's so funny you asked that question, because today I was looking through an old blog that I had on Blogger, and that must have been 2006 to 2009-ish. But I first started professionally speaking in 2008, and I saw this little picture of myself skinny with short little hair, and I had no experience in it. But the only way to get experience is to take every single opportunity, volunteer, give what you can. You might not always get paid, but if someone's giving you a shot, take the shot. And practice. You build by doing it every day. I started blogging in 2006, and I've written 4 books, and I've got several books on the way. Mistakes. Don't feel like you're waiting for something big to happen. Instead, shift that feeling of waiting to undertaking. You are undertaking a career. You are undertaking this transformational process, because you're not going to stand up on stage fully articulate, performing like Michael Jordan overnight. It's going to take years. It's going to take time. And normalize things taking time. Normalize it, because a career is something that takes many years, decades. And what seems like an overnight success is not an overnight success. It's many years of internal work. And sometimes it's not always the external work that has to happen. It's the internal work. It's the work that's going on in your psychological point of view. So, in a crisis or an economic recession, reach out. If people give you shots and they give you chances, take them, practice, apply everything you know to experiences, and don't shy away from opportunities to apply what you know and to build on them. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not be 100%. Just give it your all. And eventually you'll have that tipping point to where you will be a professional and you will be polished and everything will start to click. But it's okay for things to feel a little bit weird and awkward and not so great, and people not really taking you seriously. I've been there myself, but eventually in time, everything will start to come together and people will go, wow, like she's awesome, but you didn't get there overnight. So it's okay. Normalize things taking time.
And it's a process, not a magic of magician, for sure.
Yeah.
Lastly, any best advice? Just quick advice, one shot for anything you have to say for yours, being as you specialized in the things you are, for anyone getting into anything.
Getting into anything, the best advice I could say is don't waste your life thinking small of yourself. Don't think little of yourself, because there's a lot of people out there who are very belittling, who are very condescending, who are very, doubtful. And if you have a dream and your dream is big, you can't achieve a big dream by thinking small of yourself. You have to think highly of yourself. And sometimes that takes time because, for me, I grew up poor. Lived in trailer parks. I grew up in a Habitat for Humanity house. You know, I worked my way through college. I had no money. I was skinny because I was practically starving. You know, and I understand what it feels like to go through significant adversity. And I tell people who are going through similar situations, you have to think highly of yourself, even when nobody else does, when nobody can see your skill, when nobody can see your talent. Don't wait for anybody to recognize you. Don't wait for somebody to go, oh, there's Rohit. He's the best in the whole wide world. Yay. Oh, he's so awesome. Don't wait for that,
Yeah.
because it might not ever happen. And the only time it will is when you look in that mirror at yourself, Rohit, and you think, this person that I'm seeing, I love this person so much, and I admire this person so much, and this person is so amazing and so valuable and so important and popular. You know, you have to look at yourself and be able to say those things about yourself, because if you do not, I can guarantee you no one else will. And even if they do, you won't hear it, because you've blocked it out by self-doubt and minimization. So my greatest word of advice to anybody right now, and especially you, always think highly of yourself. And I don't mean better or arrogant. I mean, see the best in yourself, because when you do, you'll start to see it in other people, and you'll recognize it, and you'll help other people along the way to increase and improve their self-worth.
Awesome. That's all for, and thank you so much for getting into the show and sharing these bunch of insights. I love that. And listeners will obviously love it too. And that's all. Thank you for getting into the show.
I can tell you I think you liked it, because you've been smiling ear to ear. So I feel like I gave you an injection of positivity.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.